One Step from Ian asked the question, can we do the Mega Man Battle Network design, but bring it to the modern day, and of course turn it into a roguelike? And with that, the game definitely succeeds. However, I had some issues with just the general gameplay, and kind of the roguelike aspects of it. But our story is that we are on a path, well, to Ian. And standing in our way are grids and grids of enemies and other characters trying to make it there as well. The game follows kind of the Slay the Spire formula in terms of character progression and upgrades. You have your node-based map as you saw right there. Completing a challenge will earn you rewards as well as new cards that you can cycle into your deck. And your deck allows you to pull various abilities that you see along the bottom of the screen that will show up. They come in terms of different costs, attack, type, you get the picture. And you are limited by whatever your mana pool is at any given time. And combat itself, as you can see, takes place along the kind of node-based system, as you're free to move around while performing your attacks. And the game itself is kind of structured around just this massive amount of things you're going to have to keep track of at any given time. You'll have to manage what your abilities are, your mana pool, moving around your field, and of course dodging whatever the enemy is throwing at you. And bosses can basically just fill your entire grid with crazy abilities and effects that can mess with you. Your health does come back through various events, but it is not going to be a guaranteed thing. And it's very easy to enter that death by 1,000 cuts scenario of you just constantly losing health and just not being able to recover from it. Now, with each character of the game, they all essentially have a different kind of starting ability, which in turn will also affect kind of the cards they will get access to. One character makes use of kind of a sniper rifle, and can also get cards that are built around setting down traps on the field. Our starting character over here, she has kind of your standard generic blaster, and gets spells and other abilities that can go along with it. And this is very much a game where getting a very strong hand combined with the various passive perks can lead to that snowballing effect that we see from games like Slay the Spire, Monster Train, and so on. But you are going to have to get lucky in terms of what those drops are and getting to the correct areas on the node system to reach them. And there is a lot of variety in terms of how these characters play out, what bosses you run into, and again, setting up for some really solid roguelike play. However, my issue with the game is that it's one of those titles where so much is going on at any given moment that you kind of lose almost like the ability to easily process what's happening compared to the more turn-based or tactical focused roguelikes. And we're going to talk about that next, but first, a quick break. And now for a quick shout out to our current Game Wisdom supporters and sponsors. Going forward, all Patreon supporters will get early access to our videos. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, link down below. If you're looking for more wisdom about game design, be sure to check out my latest offering of books, 20 Essential Games to Study, aimed for first-time developers and students looking for some inspiration for their upcoming games, and Game Design Deep Dive Platformers if you're interested in anything regarding 2D and 3D platforming design. They're both available in print, digital, and wherever books are being sold. With One Step from Ian, this is one of those titles where I feel like your enjoyment of it is really going to come down to kind of where you fall on this action roguelike spectrum. And for me, I kind of found the game at the base level to be a little too repetitive in terms of the runs. We played this for going on 2 hours on stream, And restarting several times and just going through the various areas, there really didn't seem to be a lot of variance set up to make them feel different. As we said earlier, the comparisons to titles like Slay the Spire and Monster Train are certainly applicable here, with the various upgrades, being able to get your perks, and so on. But the problem is that, very similar to a title like Fights in Tight Spaces, all the randomness or all the various things that can affect how you play the game are on your side, meaning the cards that you get in those options. You're still going to be fighting the same enemies and they're going to have the same tactics, and it's not really going to change what you're doing. This is very much one of those games where you're going to get a build, you're going to keep to that build, and you're going to win or lose from it. And once you've kind of settled on that route, you are basically locked in for the remainder of that play. Now, from a kind of moment-to-moment standpoint, like I said, the game can get very chaotic, as you saw right there. And sometimes enemies will give you prompts as to when they're about to attack, sometimes they won't. And I don't like it when games don't keep to a universal system for avoiding attacks or preparing the player for it. And I think ultimately, I prefer kind of the more, I guess, spiky or changing how your run plays out effect of something like Hades, which is more of an action roguelike than a One Step From Ian is. But I will say I really do like the concept for this game, and as I said at the start, the whole motive or the MO of having Mega Man Battle Network but on the PC with this kind of design certainly gives a game a unique taste and feel to it. And if you are a fan of that franchise and are used to that kind of combat system, then this is definitely a game for you to enjoy. Now, since we did play this on stream, the developers have released several updates and balance patches to it. So I don't know how applicable some of these issues are from when we played it. And there are kind of a new game plus or various additional difficulty modifiers, including additional characters, new versions of characters, and kind of, again, that ability to turn on harder versions to add more challenge. Ultimately, this is one of those games that I respect what the developers were trying to do with this design. And while it doesn't really work for me, or not as well as some of the other action roguelikes I've played, I can see where there are hardcore fans of this. As we had to start, if you are a fan of Mega Man Battle Network's gameplay, and that kind of, grid-based system, then you are going to enjoy One Step From Ian. But if you've been watching this video for almost 9 minutes now, and this looks very unruly or very chaotic to you, then there may not be enough here to win you over. And I think that could be where One Step From Ian falters the most. As, again, this game really just throws you into it in terms of the kind of Mega Man Battle Network design with its roguelike cues or accents to it. And I think ultimately I prefer something like either the more tactical or slower nature of Monster Train or Slay the Spire, or the greater focus on action, as with Hades, Enter the Gungeon, and that kind of design. And Once Every Ian kind of occupies that very weird space between the two. And I'm very curious, for those of you watching this, what did you think about this? And what is kind of your background when it comes to these roguelikes? Because I think that will ultimately determine where you're going to fall in terms of yay or nay to it. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this first look here. If you are working on a game that you may take a look at for the channel, please don't hesitate to get in touch. As always, check out our Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. Once again, this has been One Step from Ian, and I will see you all next time. Take care. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below, where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.